Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Talking Tradesman. With me today, I've got Lou from Gafflow Resin Finishes. Lou, first of all, mate, thank you ever so much for giving up your time, travelling all the way up to sit and talk to me today. And let's talk, mate.
Thanks for having me, Russ.
No, absolute pleasure, man. Absolute pleasure. Really appreciate you reaching out. And as you know, I'll get you to explain who you are, what you do, and where you're from. But you've had a bit of a trek, so
Yeah,
very much appreciated.
Anyone who's seen us before, we drive around a lot, and I travel a lot anyway. So the drive wasn't too bad, especially to come and see us. So thanks for having us on. My name is Lou, and we have got a decorative epoxy resin company. Me and my son. We go all round Europe, UK. We train, we install, and we just about to bring a new product to line out. I see the work he's been doing. It caught my attention, so I thought I'd tap in, I'd reach out, and then here we are.
Here we are.
Never been on one of these before, so this is new for me, new territory.
Let's see where we go, mate.
Yeah, I'm normally a talker. I've gone a bit quiet in myself, but...
No, mate, I appreciate it. Could you do me a favour, Lou, first? Just pull the mic in a little bit closer to you. There you go. That's sound, mate, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the Talking Tradesman, obviously, the podcast revolves around blokes in the trades generally, but we tend to talk a little bit more about the person behind the business rather than getting into tool talk, you know what I mean? Yeah. To me, that's the fascinating part. I think within the construction industry, we've got some of the most interesting people about. Because I think, to be honest with you, mate, it takes some metal to run your own business, you know. So
it's not for everyone, is it?
It's not, mate. It's not easy, is it? No. And maybe that alludes to some of the problems that blokes have. But yeah, it's interesting, mate. It's interesting. We'll get to know a little bit about you. I mean, tell me a bit about the business first, Lou. Tell me, like how you got into it, because it's not. You are the first resin floor finisher that I've had. And to be fair, anyone that hasn't already, go and check out Gafflow Resin Finishes on Instagram. Is it just mainly
Instagram? Doing a little bit on TikTok. But
go check these guys out. The details will be in the episode description anyway, but they've done some fucking incredible work. I mean, high profile wise, you've done clubs in Ibiza, celebrities, and those floors, mate. I mean, they look mint.
Thank you. We love it. It's a passion of ours. I work with my oldest son, and we got back into it back in 2018.
Okay.
Something like that. I was into it years and years ago. My oldest son is 23, and he was in construction. He left school. I didn't want him to be into the building site like I was. I'd already had a taste of resin many years before that.
What were you doing before that then, Lou?
I had kitchens, bathrooms. I was a multi-tradesman. So floor laying, LVT, Anticos, just kitchen and bathroom fit-outs, really, refurbishments. And then it was all right, nice stable. Used to get home, pick the kids up from school some days in my local area, 3 miles radius. And then now, last year I was at home for 37 nights out of 365 days. So last year was, I've got a wife, I've got 4 children.
Man, that's got to be tough.
Yeah, it was tough. It was tough, but it was a year I found myself again.
Yeah.
It was sort of, it was a tough old year, but it was the start of something new where I sort of found myself again.
So you guys do, I mean, like I've just mentioned, I've seen that you've done floors in Ibiza, but you travel the whole of the UK. How far do you go with the floors?
We went to Miami twice last year.
Bloody hell, mate.
Went to Holland, Lamborghini in Italy, all around the UK, Ireland. Yeah, Europe. Just
is it quite a specialist thing that you do?
It is now. So it's coming to the front. It's the future of flooring, as we like to call it. And for the last few years, the States have had it. It's been big in the States for the last 5 or 6 years. We're a little bit behind. So when I see it back in 2018, I've always been arty, crafty anyway. I've always been into my art, and I was into resin before years ago, but I went a different path. Back in 2018, there was a thing called Musical.ly, which is now, I believe, TikTok. And I was just flicking through it one day and I see these floors. So I looked into it and we found a course over in, where was it now? Munich. It's Munich. That was the first one. So I took my oldest son. We went over there. And then a guy come back, went over there. It was quite hard. It was only a couple of days. We didn't really do too much. We didn't really understand. So then we had one come up in it was one guy come over from Birmingham. So we done one in Birmingham.
Of course.
Yeah. Didn't really find much of it. The products was letting us down. Messing about with it for a little bit, messed up some things, bought some more stuff, messed some more up, then found a little way of our own little technique of how we was doing it right, and it was coming out nicely. So then we thought we'd tried on our own houses first, then we thought we'd try on a real floor. Found a guinea pig, done the floor came out mint, and you do research development, you find some different products, you try some different things. Kitchen and bathroom company was doing all right. With 13 guys, it was doing all right, ticking over nicely, but it come to a point where this one was taking us all over started taking us around the place. That one was in a nice 3-mile radius of one had to give.
Yeah.
And I loved doing what I'm doing now. Loved it. I fell in love with it, same as my son. And all the attention went into that. And then all of a sudden it escalated, but I had a few problems in the meantime. Some COVID hit, so we had a bit of time off. We was at home, so that's where we gathered our skills. Really, it was in the garage playing with designs and messing about. Yeah, we was at home, but we had loads of products. We were still getting the products because it could be ordered to us, and we practiced and practiced and practiced. And a few problems arose during COVID, but we learned a lot about the resin. Cut long story short, we got approached by another company, asked would we go away with them and show our style. So that gives us a bit of exposure. And then with some problems, which we'll talk about. And then back in late 22, 23, we started getting some really good traction. Done a celebrity client, went on to another one, went on to Ibiza. It just snowballed, really.
It's mad, isn't it? Because I'm listening to you and I'm trying to work out where you went from practicing in your garage to doing clubs in Ibiza. Like, there's such a leap. But I've spoken to a couple of lads that end up doing like celebrity work and that. And one that springs to mind is like Reese from Solihull Tiling.
Okay.
And he was saying that because he works for a lot of celebrities, and it does seem to be you get that one.
Yeah.
You know, and then you get the next.
You sort of stick in that click. If you do a good job and you're honest, you don't rip no one off, and I think that's what it was. But where this is, no one's been doing this. It was a new thing for everybody, so they see it, they fall in love with it. But we try just to be honest and give our true self to it, give all our love and all our passion into it, put our heart into it. And I don't know what makes us different to anyone else, because don't look at us like we're no different. All I look at it is that we just put our heart and passion into it. And we've had losses. Don't forget, for the 3 years before that, we won some, we lost some, we had some heartache on the way, things messed up. But you learn by your mistakes. And
of course.
What happened there is, if you do it twice, you're an idiot. But sometimes can't be helped. But if you know you've tried your absolute best, then you can put your heart and soul into it. If it doesn't happen after that, then there's no more you can do. But at least you can sleep well overnight saying, I tried my best there, and I've done the full thing there. So what happened was we went on to practice in the garage, and we got some jobs, and we had some good ones, some things. But that was our apprenticeship, that was our lose. We lost, and I was at the point of giving up. And then we had things come back to bite me, because we got into certain addictions took over. And then we got ourselves into some terrible habits, and it wasn't a good look. And then things had to change. But what didn't change, all my anxiety, everything that I had when I was doing my artwork, creating my floors, it disappeared.
Okay.
I'd hyper focus on the floors, and I'm a very chatty person, spontaneous as well. And it sort of the COVID times withdrew me, and I went into myself, and then. With this, it was loud, it was colour, it was bright, it was...
Yeah.
So when if I used to go and tile the bathroom out, what I loved about this is when I tiled the bathroom out, people would choose their tiles. What had to happen, we'd go up there, tile the bathroom out. Would you like a cup of tea? Give us a shout. But with this, it brought something else different.
That's a good place to pause a moment and say a big thank you to this episode's sponsors, Q1. Q1 offer premium masking solutions, the the perfect choice for the professional that demands perfection. Q1 tapes deliver clean, sharp lines every single time. They're designed for superior adhesion and easy removal, leaving no adhesive residue. In addition to the tapes, Q1 offer a whole range of surface protection. Using Q1, your projects look professional and the results speak for themselves. Available in most stores and online at q1tapes.com. The Talking Tradesman would like to offer our sincere thanks to Q1 for offering your support to raise mental health awareness and supporting the podcast from day one. I can speak personally, and I say that I use Q1 in my business on every project. With that said, let's get back to the episode.
It brought that person to you, so we'd be sitting down, they'd be really into you, into the artwork, talking about...
It is, mate, and I mean, the way you're describing it, you mentioned art a few times, those floors are artwork, aren't they?
They're art and floors.
When you say about Bright, I mean, the one that springs to mind for me is obviously Wiki Woo in Ibiza that you guys did. Bright pink. I mean, that's another question, actually, leading on, because it being... I don't know a lot about resin, mate. Hands up here, I'm quite ignorant towards it. I'm assuming, based on the fact that you've mentioned they had it in Lamborghini and you've done it in clubs, that it's very hard wearing, because I'm thinking like heels on it and shit like that.
It can be. It's to do with a lot to do with your where you are, how you isolate, what system you put on it. So choosing the correct system for the correct environment.
Oh, the different types the correct of subfloors, resin.
Yeah, the right sealers to put on it after. Okay. There's a lot to do with that, but that comes with experience, and you've got to fail at a few to realise what works and what doesn't work, unfortunately. And we was all naive in this when we first come along. You go and do a course, they tell you to mix it up like that, do this, do that. You think it's easy. So when you go and try it, something goes wrong, they don't really know because it's the game's so new.
Yeah.
But we had we've been banging on this for 7 years in now, and the two and a half of those years was repeat. And you have a few falls, but you get back up again, you adjust it, you find the top product. So for me to carry on, because a couple of years ago I was ready to give up, but I knew I loved it, but there were certain things that was letting us down, and that was products. So then my aim was to bring the proper products and the right teaching into the game, because there's a lot of people that come into this, they get blown away by they think about the money, they think about what it brings you, but what they don't think about is when it goes wrong. And then if you're a fine line from it going really, really right and really, really wrong, and I think that's part of the excitement of doing it as well. But if you keep to the system and you keep to the way it should be done, there's no reason why you can't get it right. So that's what I teach people. I want to tell people the right way. I don't want to teach them, this is going to...
Because you guys do your own training courses now, don't you?
I do my own training courses now, but anyone who's been on my training, they say I'm honest, I'm brutally honest. And I want to be honest with the people, because I don't want to set them up to fail. I want these people to succeed, because it is a new game. It is the future of flooring. It's seamless, hygienic, hard-wearing, unique art on floors.
How long will a resin floor last for, on average?
It's like anything. If you give it maintenance, if you've got a tile floor, if you've got a Antico, Candine, real wood, it all needs maintenance. So if you maintain it properly, it could last 10 years, 20 years. But if you keep it maintained and to bring an epoxy floor up with its sealer over the top, it's a case of sanding that down and then resealing it, and it will bring its pop back up again. So everything but the prep's got to be right. It's all to do with your preparation right from the start, right from the bare subfloor concrete. If you get the preparation correct, at the correct ratios, the correct curing times, you'll have a good quality floor.
So is that how it goes then, Lou? So you get a concrete base, and then you put
wood.
your...
And you
can go on top of wood as well?
Yeah, go on top of wood. You can go a lot of things with the correct primers. But for instance, if we've got a concrete floor, you would come in, you'd grind the sub down to see what it is. It doesn't like anhydride. Epoxy resin doesn't like anhydride, which is a calcium-based... It's a subfloor, so builders use it because it's cheap. It takes so long to dry out. You get crust over the top.
So I'm nodding at you, mate. I'm a painter.
So let me skip through it
that's all done by the time I get there.
So we grind the top layer off. We do any preparation as to if there's any crack fills. We take a moisture reading. We take a hardness test, a compression reading test with a rebound hammer. See what the compression is of the concrete. and then we put our first layers on,
Okay.
and then we build up. We do a full epoxy layer. So
How thick is it?
that 4 to 5 mil finish complete.
Oh, wow. Again, I don't know why, mate, but I was thinking it'd be like 10, 15 mil for some reason.
We do those in river tables and castings. So
Yeah, I think that's it. You know, when you say resin, I think of those tables.
and a lot of people do.
You know,
Yeah.
and they, you know, they look
We
stunning.
could do it on
But
floors, and they say, yeah, we could do it on floors. But I mean, it's evolved, isn't it? Technology, research, development.
yeah,
We're all. The revolution is here for and everything. There's new technologies coming out, and
absolutely,
over the last 3 years, the technology of resin, the system of resin, has come leaps and bounds. And I can see it. I mean, it's already industrial. Everywhere you look's industrial now, but it's becoming more and more domestic, But as I say, it's a niche game. We love it. No two floors are the same. If I've done it, you get it similar.
yeah,
But you're never going to get exactly the same. But it's all to do with how you're feeling on the day. Apart from the preparation layers, when you design coat, the design coat is what everyone thinks about. But it's the last thing that I think about. I think of everything that goes on before then, as in your prime, the grinding, the preparation, the prime coats, the base coats.
yeah.
Now we're onto the design coat, and the design coat is what everyone thinks about. But it's not what they should be worried about. They should be worried about what goes on before.
Mate, that's so true in a lot of trades. I mean, me and my trade, there's a saying which is prep hard, paint easy. It sounds like it's similar for you, prep hard, and your top coat is the fun bit, the easy bit. Yeah,
exactly that. But we love it. We're just I'm addicted to it, and I'm always thinking of new ways to design. What can I bring into that? And
I can hear that, mate. I can hear the passion in your voice over it, which is great. It's good to hear.
And you've got to keep it to the passion first, I think. I mean, when people start thinking about the money and running with the money, I think that's when you're going to get problems, because you can't skimp with what you're doing. You've got to give it everything. And everyone thinks it's loads of money. They think the bills are, but the materials are expensive. To get your team trained up to how you want to train them up, that has been a long road, because you've got to bring them up from the hard way of how everyone learns. So yeah, it can bring you so much, but if you don't pay attention, you can lose so much as well. So.
I mean, another quick, there was me, like I said, this isn't tool time. We're not going to talk about, but that's exactly what I'm doing because I'm fucking interested. Ibiza, does heat, like the fact that it's hot over there, does that have an impact in the resin? And
it does. Of course, it does. You've got to be quicker working times. You just got to know what you're doing. You obviously got isolation. There's certain things you don't do. Leave chemicals in the sunlight. The UVA stabilities of it. We've got to know what colours to put in, because the aromatics and the aliphatics of resin, we want to umber over the time with light colours if it's UV in your face. But so you've got to know what you're doing there. But that comes with time and experience, or someone who knows what they're talking about, who's done that, to tell you what to do and what not to do, which we never had. This is why the training is so good for people who's getting into the game, because
because you're treading. Well, it sounds of it, mate. With it being a new technology, you're like one of the forefathers, aren't you? You're treading that path and learning by mistakes, and then you can pass that knowledge on.
Absolutely. And what I'm thinking is for later on, as in, it's going to be here. We can't stop it because it's coming, and it's round. It's Europe now. Europe's big, but the States is massive. I mean, I was in Miami twice last year, and it's every home's going to it. It is. It's big, and I can see the UK, Europe going that way now as well. We're catching up. 3 year ago, you asked 10 people, 9 of them wouldn't have even heard of epoxy floor before. But now they've seen it, they've heard about it, and then they're interested in it. We've all got to walk on something, and people now are looking for unique. They don't want. We do Amtico Cardine all day. The guys who've got working for us, they've been in Amtico Cardine 20 years. They're our preppers, but it's not a machine made. It's art on floors. And
exactly that, yeah. Everyone's different. And I guess with it being like one smooth slab almost, I suppose it's easier, more hygienic, easier to clean.
Yeah.
You haven't got the grooves that floor picks up dirt, dust and all the rest of it.
Exactly that, yeah. And as well as that, you can bring it into people's homes, so once your layers are done, once your prime coats, all your subs done, all your preparations done to the correct standards, specification, And then 3-4 years time, you might say, Lou, do you know what? I'm changing my finishes in here. I need to have a little change. I'm changing all my finishes, my door handle changing. We need to change the colour. But you've already had all your prep layers done. So all it is now is for me just to come in, sanding it down and putting a new design coat
you can
on.
go on top of it with a new colour and all that kind of thing.
So you might get sick of it in 3 years' time, but the money's not going to be the same as it was on your first install.
Yeah, because you haven't...
Because you've done the system now. All it is a new design layer and a new top coat.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's cool, mate. There you go. I've learned a lot. Just in this, do you know what? It's one of the things I love about doing these podcasts, mate. Everybody I speak to, I'm learning stuff. It's fucking brilliant. But yeah, I didn't know a lot, and now I know a bit.
Yeah,
So,
I wasn't expecting to talk about so much about it, so you caught me off guard there. But yeah,
yeah, mate. Honestly, it interests me because, like I say, you're the first bloke I know that does it, and you've done some really high profile versions of it. And genuinely, like, I looked at it and I thought, fucking hell, that's good. But then I had all these questions about how durable, daft things, how thick is it, how do you get it, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, appreciate it, mate.
That's
appreciate you giving me a little bit of knowledge on that.
Thank you.
What we'll do though now, mate, is we'll get on to the reason you're here, really.
Yeah.
Obviously, the podcast centres around mental health in construction. And the reason you reached out to me is you've been through your own sort of journey with that as a business owner. That's a good place to start on that, Lou.
I'm easy, but what can we say? Right. Do we want to go through maybe 3 years ago?
Yeah, man, we've start at the beginning, wherever that is.
Well, things have always been there. We've always been aware of something there. But back in 2000, COVID times?
2020, wasn't it?
Around
COVID,
that sort of time, yeah. We was all locked at home. Even though there was some good times there, we got some problems in that time as well. So I was diagnosed with ADHD a couple of years ago now. After this,
after COVID. So if you don't mind me asking, mate, your diagnosis of ADHD, what sort of age were you then?
39.
Okay, so you've gone 39 years living. And looking back, like after having the diagnosis, did it make you reflect on your life up to that point and sort of go, okay.
It's made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But I still didn't grasp it at that time. It was only later after, right. Before, when it was COVID time, we was all at home and everyone could sit indoors, drink as much as you want, do what you wanted to.
The best summer ever, mate, wasn't it, that year?
And I live I live near the beach.
Right.
So we had a little spot we could all go to, socially distanced apart. You could all have a drink. But it was after that. It was before that was there. It was problems always coming, but it really took over in COVID times. So COVID times, we got ourselves into a bad way. Head weren't right. Started drinking more and more. The sun was out. It caused even more drink. Didn't matter what time you got up because you had a hangover. Didn't matter with the hangover.
Do you know what, Lou? Like, looking back, because I've spoken to a few people that have got a similar story, being a trigger point, being that time of our lives, the COVID time. And I think because that whole weird situation where people were on furlough, some people were getting paid, some people were struggling, but so many people were off. It was like this giant holiday where it sort of was not like if the sun was out, people would think nothing about being at home and cracking a bottle of wine open at 9 a.m. It was like, oh, it's just a massive holiday. Yeah. And it really turned everything on its head for a lot of people.
It is.
And it seems to have been accountable for quite a lot of this. So, yeah, you're not alone in the story.
And I was so, the blinkers were on and I didn't see anything that I was doing. I mean, I've been married. I got married in 2010 to my missus. I've got 4 children, and I'd always had issues mentally, but I'd always knew how to control them. I'd always
what sort of issues are we talking about?
Well, I'd always have anxiety. I'd always be tears of a clown. I'd be the life and soul of the party. Behind closed doors, I was struggling, and I didn't really know where it always come from because it's always been there. But I'd always been able to hide away, get away from it, smile it out, turn the frown upside down.
Let's take a moment there to say a massive thank you to our headline sponsors, Zinza, and have a quick chat about their new product, Bin Aqua. Now, Zinza Bin needs no introduction, but have you heard of the Bin Aqua? It's their most innovative launch yet, and it does everything that Bin does, but it's water-based. It's a water-based 4-in-1 primer, sealer, stain and odour blocker. It's designed to block all stains, including water, nicotine and mould, and it expertly seals, unlike Zinza Bin, interior and exterior. Now, I can hand on heart say that I've used this product regularly in my own business and it performs excellently. Fully endorsed. Go and check out Zinza Bin Aqua. Let's get back to the episode.
And I could always do that until I couldn't do it no more. I couldn't hide it no more because of the alcohol and everything else wouldn't let me disguise it no more. So I become a lot more aware and I become a lot more selfish and just give up caring, really. And it was a time of getting into, it was at a time when we was just starting to take off with this, and then it sort of put a big hold on what we was doing. And then I'm an addictive person anyway, in whatever I do. If I love it, I love it. I can't, whatever it is. And then what happened was I was just getting myself into bad ways, and all night long. I'd had a workshop then as well, so I'd go and lock myself in my workshop, which isn't too far from my house. Me and my wife weren't on good, and I was just in a bad way. I was nearly splitting up. We're strong, and me and my missus are strong. We've always been solid, but the first time she was going to leave me, and it went on for a good few years. Back in late 22, we was going to separate because of it.
Because of the drinking and
because of the drinking and the hours and not coming home, not answering the phone. Weren't a good atmosphere to be around. When I was around, become very selfish, and I'd lost my friend as well in that time to suicide.
Sorry to hear that, mate.
Which was another trigger. Which was another thing. And then one night, I'd been out on a bender, and COVID had finished now. I'd been out on a bender. Walked in at 5 o'clock in the morning, walked in, missus is there, been worried all night, phone's been off. I've walked in, and I walked back out again. I went up to my workshop, 8 o'clock in the morning, carried on drinking. And there was a time there, I never spoke about this before. There was a time that I used to have some weights up there, a punch bag, and some battle ropes. And I was there, got there about 6 in the morning, and I was drill drinking at 8:30. And I kept looking at these battle ropes. And then in my workshop, I've got big steel beams. I've lost my mate to suicide before. And I just kept looking at these fucking things. And the more I'm drinking and doing what I'm doing, the more upset I'm getting. And I sort of made a decision in my head at that point what I was going to do. Excuse me a minute. I've never spoke about this before.
It's all right, mate. Take your time.
And then all of a sudden my phone rang. 8:30 in the morning. It's my friend Ben. Hello, Lou boy. What are you doing? No, it rang. I ignored it. It rang again. I ignored it again. And then it rang. I thought, who's that? And I'm thinking, I was drunk. I was drunk. I was in a bad way, but never enough for the kids because I was the kids. Do you know what I mean? And how selfish of me to be even thinking of this. But I thought the kids when the phone was ringing. It wasn't. It was my friend Ben. But he's rung me 3 times. He said, "What's happening, Lou boy? You all right?" And he could hear it in my voice. So he went, "Where are you?" I said, I'm at the unit. He went, "Oh, I'm only 2 minutes. I'm around the corner. I'm going to come and see you." I went, No. It's not, no, I want to see you quickly. And it stopped me from whatever I was doing. And I shook myself. What are you doing? Like, what was you ever thinking of? What the fuck's the matter with you? And he's knocked in, he's opened the door. And he said, "You all right?" And he sort of pushed his way in. And I went, and I burst into tears. And I hadn't got nothing out. I hadn't got nothing ready. But that strong urge was there. And I knew how, I sort of thought how my mate felt, what he was feeling. I always think of people when it's selfish bastards. But until you're in that moment when you've got that, you don't see no selfish. You don't think yourself at being, and I do now, how disgusting. I feel devastated at my way of thinking on that day. But on that day, I didn't care about nothing else at that time, in that second, for the minutes that it was. I didn't care about nothing else. It was just what felt right at that time. But he come in at that time, I don't know what it was. He's never rung me at 8:30 in the morning. He's normally hungover himself. He's normally been out. He's normally still out.
Yeah, thank God he did, mate.
But he did, and he walked, and he pushed me. He said, "Come on, you're coming out with me today."
So you must have picked up on something.
Yeah, he did.
Knew something,
He did. He gave me a cuddle. He said, "You're right." And I've been out all night. She's thrown me out, and he's said, "Come on, come out with me." He never went to work. We went out today and got back on the piss on all day again. My phone was off and on all day. I sort of turn it off. Mrs. is ringing me now, and 5:00 in the afternoon that afternoon, I'm in the pub with him still. I don't remember. It's COVID. All for that was a big old blur. It's like a big old blur to me now. It was then. I don't even know. People tell me things. I'd be on the roof. Do you know what I mean? I've done some crazy things. And then he that day, I remember sitting there and I was talking to somebody, and I've looked up. I've looked like my missus there, but I don't care. In my head now, I'm out all day. I'm out. There's no selfish me that didn't care about what's happening to kids with their missus, mum. I was just out on one, selfish. And I've looked up. I thought, I've looked like my missus. I'm carrying talking, and then she's just standing there looking at me. And then she come over, and then I went, she's got me out. And then I went out. She went and took me to my nan's house. My nan's like a second mum to me. Both my grandparents are. Just lost one a few months ago. But my nan, so I went round my nan's house and had a couple of days there with her again. I needed that. Then things didn't go to that low again. They did. I was on the.
Did you ever talk to anybody about those? How far you'd got thoughts wise? No.
Spoke to my missus once about it briefly, and I pulled it back. In that time, I've never wanted to let anything like that out. The reason why I want to get things out there now is because there's someone else that came onto my course last year. I was in Ibiza, and I was out there. I was sober because I can come back to this. But after all that business, me and my missus were going to split up. And then with my kids, it weren't a good example to what I was doing, because they was picking up on things. I tried to be happy dad, but I was a good hider. Do you know what I mean? I could hide things well. But I knew deep down they weren't right. Especially my eldest son, he's clued up more than anything. He's done IB for 10 times before I've never been out to IB until last year.
Really?
I was a young dad, 16, 17 when I had him. I was doing that, and all my friends were going off to Ibiza. Then last year I found myself and all my friends were at home with their babies, and I'm in Ibiza with my 3-year-old son. But in between last year when I was in Ibiza, I had a phone call, and I was on the camera chatting, blah, blah, blah. And the geezers and this fella, I won't say his name, he reached out to me and said, because I'd gone sober, and people were following for my year of sobriety. On the 1st of January 2023, for a month before that, I pledged I was going sober. On the 1st, I was giving up booze completely, giving it up, knocking it on the head. No in the middles. I'm limiting myself to the weekends. I've tried all that. That don't work. I had to go 0, all or nothing. So I said, right, that is it. I'm going 0. And I had a month to get my head straight. I raised a little GoFundMe for Dementia UK. I done a little GoFundMe there, and I'm now in May time, and April, I went out there about 6-7 times working last year, but it was the first time I was out there. The phone's gone, and I was speaking to this guy, and he said, "You're doing really well with your no drinking. You're looking such a much better place than what I see you 6 months ago. Well done. I'll be honest with you, I'm in a down place at the minute now. I feel really sad. How have you done it?" And the boys were working for the night, and I was on the phone with him for about 2 hours, just sitting plotted up on the phone. With that, I've got a course on in. Fast forward now another 4 months, maybe 3 months, maybe July, August time. I was in Scotland doing a floor, but I also had an on-site course at the same time. A guy booked, about 4 or 5 people come to this on-site course. One of the guys, we're out of the evening, we're all having dinner together, having dinner. They're all drinking. I'm still on zeros. I was drinking 0 beers. I was going to the pub, but I'd have 0 beers.
Fair play, mate. That takes some strength in itself.
Well, that was testing to me.
Yeah.
But my head was so strong, I'm not doing it, and I wasn't doing it. And the more I'd done it for 0, the more I never thought I'd go back. Well, I haven't gone back, but I allowed myself to have. I said 1 year. I'm going to do 1 year, and then don't know what's going to happen after that year, but I'm giving myself 1 year. And then he said, "Come on the course," and he said, "You know what? You saved my life that day. You answered your phone to me in Ibiza." I said, "Do you remember me? Remember talking to me?" I said, "Yes." And then it was you. I didn't realise he'd booked a course.
Yeah.
Come on to my course. And then he's had a few drinks now. The night time, we'd all done the course in the day, one of the days in the daytime. We're having an evening meal together in the hotel bar. And now we've all had a drink. All the students have had a drink. I'm just sitting back laughing. I think, oh, that used to be me.
Yeah.
And then he said to me, "You saved my life." And that really affected me because of my mate before. And he just thought something, wow. He said, "No, you actually did save me." Because on that night, I was thinking of things and I was scrolling through and I've seen you. And he said, and then I sent you a message and then you instantly responded. And then that's what it was. And then it's been a long time I thought about coming onto something like this to get it out and speaking about it. But I didn't think I had the tools for it. I didn't think I could open up. And I don't know if I've told you more than I've ever told anyone just sitting here now.
First of all, I massively appreciate that because it takes a strength to do that, Lou. And I know that you and everyone that sat in that chair before you, there's a reason that you do it. And that's because of what you're just explaining. You're putting that out there to help people because somebody might hear that where it might make a difference, and massive credit to you for that.
Because you can come back.
Yeah.
You can go so low. And I think you have to stoop to them when you know you're suffering from whatever it is, mental health, anxiety, depression, whatever it is. I think you have to go to the depths to then be able to bounce back up, because I'd always gone down, but I'd always bounced back up. But then it was half measure. It was not false pretenses. But you're lying to you. You're kidding yourself because things come and trick back into you, and they come into your head again, and then it becomes the revolving door again, and then it gets faster and faster. So I think I had to go down to realise, to then go right, knock it on the head. Something has to change. I know what it is. It has to happen quick, and it's always been there. But alcohol was the final trigger that put us into another dimension of it. Because we still suffer. Things still creep back in now, and they creep back in. But I've got different tools now.
Yeah,
I've got different tools now to bounce of it a bit.
It's a depressant, mate, isn't it? Alcohol. That's the thing. Me personally, I don't know about. I think everyone's different, but me on a hangover, I am depressed, and I'm emotional.
Yeah.
Like normally, I'm sound, but if I watch like a remotely sad film hungover, I'm in tears. You know what I mean? Like it's the only time that gets me like that. And when I went through probably one of my hardest periods in my life, I was the same. I turned to drink. I was drinking a lot. And then when you find yourself drinking and then you hungover, so you start drinking again, it just builds up, mate. And you do get to that point of crisis, don't you? Which, by the sounds of it, is where you got to. The one thing that I don't want to miss the opportunity to say, though, is just how vital and potentially life-saving it is to talk. And you've just given a perfect example of that. You picked up the phone at the right time to that chap, and you talking to him potentially saved his life.
Yeah.
And that sounds like such a massive thing, but it's the truth. And that's why this podcast, is literally called the Talking Tradesman podcast. But the catch line on it, it's on all the merch, it's on everything, is let's talk. Because truly, I genuinely believe that particularly men, if we talk to each other, and not only talk, but also take the responsibility to listen, then it can save a life. And that's what you did on that occasion, was you listened. So, it takes both. You can't have one without the other. He was ready to talk, and he was looking for that person that would listen. On that occasion, you were that person.
And you're right, as well as I think Samaritans is a great organisation, fantastic. But if you're a builder, construction worker, I don't know, in some sort of industry, like no matter how you're feeling, I was never going to pick up that phone and ring that number, no matter what. And neither was he. We've had a little conversation after that. So having a platform like this, where it's your own people, where you can just say it, you're in that circle, no one's going to judge you. It's very important because as great as there's other organisations and associations that, like Samaritan's fantastic, and pick up the phone, ring that number if that's all you can do. But I couldn't do that, and he couldn't do that, and other people I know that couldn't do that. Do you know what I mean? Because it's just the name of what you're, because that means it's real. Do you know what I mean? That means you are in trouble. Which we already know that anyway. But just to have a little easy conversation of, you're a tradesman, I'm a tradesman, we're real talky. You're not no ego to talk about it, neither have I. And whoever's listening is in that industry anyway. So we're all here on the same. We're all here for the same thing. But especially people with our spell and athletes go through it. And they do. And anyone that's in any sort of performing arts industries, high intense, I think they go for it. I don't know about the more corporate side of the world. Everyone gets mental health, but
I was going to say, mate,
how they bounce
I think the reality is we probably all go through it, but the difference is with construction and the trades and being self-employed and being a business owner, it just carries a whole different, there are different stresses, different pressures. And I think one of the probably key things that makes it worse for us is we haven't got a HR department. We can't take a sick day because our mental health is bad. I mean, we can, but nobody's paying us.
That's right.
And we're a lot more out there on our own. And it's one of the messages I'm trying to get across is that there's this glaring issue. There's a mental health crisis in general, but there's a bigger mental health crisis within construction in the UK. The stats are all there to back it up. And I think it's something like 1 in 3 men that work in construction will have suicidal thoughts. 1 in 3.
Unbelievable.
I mean, that's fucking huge. It's the worst demographic of industry to be in for male suicide figures. So there's all these things. So we need to stop ignoring the fact that there's a problem. There's a problem.
It's there, isn't it?
There's a glaring problem. And the facts are that realistically, there's no big organisation, there's no governmental movement that are going to come in and fix this. So really, what we've got to do is look around us, look at our co-workers, look at our mates, look at our
and be there for each other.
Exactly that. And take that responsibility on to just keep an eye on the people around you. And if you know that somebody on site, you can pick up on it. You know that they're going through a hard time at home. You know that, whatever something's changed, they've gone quiet, or maybe they've gone loud. Just check in, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Just a genuine conversation. I don't accept the first thing. I mean, if I say to you on a normal day, "How you doing, Lou? You're right." Yeah, I'm saying, mate. Yeah, sound all good, man. Yeah, but actually go. Really, mate. Let me ask you again. How's things really? Or, like on a 1 to 10, where you at? We're at a 6, we're at an 8, we're at a 10. Because a lot of the time, again, I think we want to talk, but in reality, that it's an offhand passing comment normally. How you doing, mate? And I'll look and I'll think, you don't really want to hear my shit.
That's right.
But sometimes you've actually got to put yourself in that position to be that person to listen.
And I think that's what I've done for such a long time. I'll try to be like positive and bounce and, Christy, how are you? Do you know what I mean? You're looking well, and you try to be, because I always you want to make people feel good in themselves, and you're doing okay. Do you know what I mean? Because if you're in business and you're a business owner, you don't want people to think you're mentally insecure or mentally unstable, or you have good days and you have bad days. You want to feel like you're stable and you're in one line. But reality is where no one is. And it don't matter how much money you got, where you're from, what your upbringing was. There's people struggling with all different kinds of things. Do you know what I mean? So you should never judge anyone, because you shouldn't. And that's why don't look up at no one, don't look down at no one. But I think a lot of people do beat them with stick. If you don't understand it, then they don't understand. Like people might listen to your podcast and really don't, or any platform, and don't understand. Come on, mate, address it. Pull your socks up. Do you know what I mean? And if we could all do that, then we wouldn't be sitting here today.
I was one of them, Lou. Like, up until I was 30, I would say I was one of them that probably would have said all them things.
Yeah, me too.
I used to say stuff like, I haven't got mental health.
Me too, yeah.
And it would have been, pull yourself together, man up, all that bollocks. I'd have been one of them until I hit my own struggles, and then thought, actually, there's something a bit more to this.
I'm a bit older than you, right? But back in, I'm in that generation. I'm early 80s, so we was that last generation.
I don't think we're that far apart. I was 84.
Oh, I'm 83.
There you go. Well, you're not that much older, mate.
So we're old school, and we're in that middle. I'm not very tech savvy. I've missed it. I've missed the boat. Do you know what I mean? My kids are like that. I struggle with it. So it's old school genes. So you're not taught to speak about things like that. It weren't the norm back then, but now it is the norm to speak about your feelings. Even I went to the school today for a school meeting early this morning before I left there, and what I've learned today is the kids have got a school book. My youngest son, he's got ADHD, and his attention span. They've got a book now to say how they're feeling. We never read that. Do you know what I mean? We never had none of that. But they put in the things that are in place now, and just people's got to think it's normal. It's part of it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to. Well, how can I say it? Some people over years, like for our generation, I ain't doing that. I ain't speaking to people about that. If you speak about things, I think you do air it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You air it. You feel better and refreshed after you spoke about something. You've been honest. You know,
it's a weight off your shoulders, mate.
It is.
It's a weight off your shoulders, and one of the big misconceptions as well, and to people out there thinking, I don't want to hear it, but to listen to somebody is a skill, but actually you don't have to do anything. You don't have to fix it. Like if somebody comes to you and they tell you that they're having a hard time and they're struggling, they're not giving you that pressure that you've got to take that and go fix it for them. Sometimes all you got to do is just sit and listen. That's it. Just tell me how you're feeling, mate. You're having a shit time. You're going through something, and life's hard, man. People go through relationship breakdowns, bereavements pretty fucking often. You can't fix that for them.
No.
But often just being an ear to listen, how they're feeling, so they're not bottling it up. And a lot of the time, like through me volunteering at Samaritans, the thing that you pick up is that it's this unraveling and organisation of your thoughts. You know, you've got all these things spinning through your head. And if you bottle it and you're walking around constantly, I'm good, and you're not, just often just putting it out there, releasing that pressure, telling somebody how you're feeling and why you're feeling it, it's like
halving that problem.
You take all those thoughts, you're organising them, you know? And then once you've had that conversation, you can kind of, okay, you know, hasn't fixed anything, but now somebody knows, and I've unraveled my head.
Yeah,
you know, and you can do that as often as you need to. You just put in. I've used this analogy a few times, but a pint of water. I'll use it again. But if you hold out a full pint of water in your arm at length for 10 seconds, piece, everyone can do it. But you try and do that for an hour or 6 hours or 8 hours or a day. I would argue maybe there's somebody, but I don't think many people would hold a full pint of water at stretch for 24 hours. That's the weight. The analogy is that is like the weight of your emotions. So if you hold on to it, they get heavier and heavier and heavier. If you put it down for a bit, you can pick it up again. And that's what that conversation is. It's putting down that weight of emotion just for a minute. We'll just rest it for a minute. I'm going to let it out. I'm going to put it down. Then I can pick it up again. You know, but when you try and hold on to it, bottle it, and keep it all inside, then it gets heavy, and then eventually you break. You know, then it comes out of this crisis, this snap point. And one of the things we were taught in our training at Samaritans is that when people are at crisis, there's like a 20-minute window almost.
Right. Yeah.
If you can talk to people through that, generally speaking, most people will.
They lose that moment.
Yeah. And you know, by the sounds of it, you almost got there yourself, where there's that crisis of moment of fuck, you know, panic, and the only way out you can see is one that you won't come back from. But by the sounds of it, your friend broke that. And that's that power of talking, you know. And thank God that's what happened, and thank God that plenty of people do pick up the phone, but there is still a high proportion that don't. And, you know, we can talk about, in fact, there's stuff I don't like to talk about because it's very taboo, but a lot of people that take their own lives, there are clear signs that there was regret. You know, people that hang themselves, there's the scratches as I've tried to, you know, get the rope off and things like that. And I've had a few guests that have got to that point, or even attempted to take their own lives, and there's always that regret afterwards. You know, I know a couple of other stories, but they're not mine to tell. But yeah, it's quite often like an impulse crisis. Fucking get me out.
don't take long, go into
Yeah.
a relaxed state, it's too late. Do
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And if you had maybe 10 minutes, just 10 minutes longer, it could have come past and faded. It might come back later on, but it might have just stopped that moment there
Exactly
and then.
that.
And then you're right. It's a crucial few minutes where that feeling overwhelming feeling comes in. That's the danger time, and it's normally a lonely time. I don't know when it is for people, but middle of the night when they're alone, there's no way out.
Yeah.
And I mean, there was a time last year, and there is, and there's a time last year when I was in Ibiza. I said I was sober. I was sober, alcohol sober. But what I did do, I microdosed on mushrooms.
Oh, okay.
And what it done, I remember I went out. I was going out to raves. I was coping. I found myself because I was a year of sobriety.
Yeah.
Got to April, started microdosing, blah blah blah. And it was like a little light bulb moment. I was laying in bed. Sun was coming. I've been to Ibiza, one of the best sunrises, best sunsets you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah.
I'm laying there, 5 o'clock in the morning, thinking, what a fantastic night that was. And I'm looking out the window. I'm looking out of my balcony doors. I'm looking at the sun coming up. And I think, you know what, that's come up and gone down millions of years. Never going to change. Still going to be doing that before I'm gone. We're here for a little short time. We might as well not worry. We can't change nothing. If you can't change nothing, then why are you worrying about it? And you might as well enjoy your life. We're here for that little small space of time. You might as well just cram everything in. Be a good person. Do good. Do the best you can and have a good time because there's no second chances. Every day's for real. We do things we regret. All you can do is own up. So I'm sorry about that. Hold your hands up, boy. Be honest. I made a mistake. Let's try again. But to keep going yourself and getting round in circles for your own head, and you sometimes just got to let go. It is what it is, and easier to say that than done. But it took that moment to realise, hang on here. But I had a little light bulb moment because it was a struggle up to that point. I had 3 months of not wanting to drink, but it was still, the impulse was still there. And then I got to that time, and everyone, are you going to Ibiza and not going to be? Well, I went out to Ibiza, and I went to Ibiza for the whole year, back forward, doing all different kinds of jobs. And that was the time I sort of found myself again.
I love that, mate. You've made me want to go to Ibiza.
My boys just come back last week. I'm actually going out there in 2 weeks' time after the course. But there's something about Ibiza. It's a magnetic field there.
It's a beautiful place, mate. Yeah, it's kind of similar to you. You know, I had my son not as young as you, but relatively young. I was 22. I didn't do all the Ibiza through then. I think the first time I went to Ibiza, I met my missus, second marriage, and she'd been like 7 or 8 years and went back every year. And it was that conversation, and I was like, "Yeah, I've never been." She was like, "What do you mean you've never been?" And she took me, and then we went back again the following year. So I've been twice, and it's a beautiful place. Very fucking expensive. That kind of hurts it for me. But it is, if you take the cost out of it, it is a fantastic place to be.
Yeah, it's great. I was back when I was over there. I was over there in April. So this April, so I drove out there 3 times last year.
You drove?
Yeah, 3 times. I had to take all my kit.
Oh shit! Of course, yeah.
So I done.
How long does it take to drive?
What did it take me? I left New Haven that morning. I got there, drove to Barcelona. We went from New Haven, Dieppe, drove to Barcelona. 8-hour boat ride to Ibiza. So I think it took about 36 hours all in all, something like that.
That's not too bad.
24, 36, 20.
Did you have an overnight in Barcelona? Or?
No, I just drove.
Fucking hell. That's why you got there so quick then.
I did do the second time. We had an overnight here the second time.
Yeah.
We had an overnight. Barcelona's naughty out there. Yeah, it weren't for me in Barcelona.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was good. But I was over there in April, so I'm lucky enough. So I go out there, and as you go, again, if you're going over there to work, but what you do is you see in this, I've got loads of friends in Ibiza now. So hotel, I'm coming out, find me a little room, might do them a few little tables or something while I'm over there. Like I flew the missus over a couple of times last year just so we could have a little while I was working. So we made the most out of it, you know.
Nice.
But it can be expensive. It can run away if you're out there. But I wasn't drinking. I wasn't out there. I'd get free club entry. I was at free hotel, so it weren't bad for me last year. But yeah, I can see.
My problem with Ibiza is I don't do drugs. So
No, but
essentially,
but I
so
did when I was
drinking, like going and having a few beers, get on, like the spirits out there are just insanely expensive. So yeah, it was. I wouldn't say it ruined it for me, but it did put a bit of a taint where I thought, fucking hell, man, like it's good here, but
I go Maldives.
this, yeah, basically, yeah, the amount that you spend. That said, I'll go back. I'll go back at some point, but
over there, see people see even the sun, right? Let's go back. Vitamin D's, bit of sunshine.
yeah,
It does a lot for me.
yeah.
It does. When it's gloomy outside and everyone's down, everyone's face, everyone's mood's different. And I think that's what I like about the hot climates, because everyone's happy and walking around and it seems the music's on. Even music's got a lot for me. I mean, it all
That's a big
determines.
thing.
It's a big thing for me. I need it every day. I need it. It's my little release. Do you know what I mean? And
Talk to me about the microdosing, Lou, if you don't mind. The reason I say that, mate, is it interests me. So mushroom, psilocybin, I've actually looked into a few studies with psilocybin, the benefits for people with PTSD. There's a lot of research going on in the States with psilocybin at the moment for like war veterans, PTSD. It's, to be fair, I mean, I know technically it's a Class A drug, but I'm not against natural stuff like that. So mushroom, it interests me anyway. But talk to me about why did you?
It just slows your brain down. Where I don't know if it was hit my ADHD or it was the mental. I don't know what it was, but it slowed me down, and I become more. I absorbed more, even though I'm thinking about so much. I'll be sitting here now, and I've got to tune into someone. I've got to tune in, because if I don't tune in, I'll wander off, and that just let me be normal. I just felt like I could think about that and do that. Now I'm going to do that, and then But when I wasn't, I can control a lot more now. But learned how to control, and even writing things down now. My missus told me this. My people around me, I've got into a little habit of writing things down a lot more. I'm still scatty. I'm still I've still got many tricks, but I don't like to be addicted to nothing as well. Same as a prescription for ADHD. I don't like to take nothing. I don't like that numbing feeling. So I just self-medicated. Someone in IB forgive me some mushrooms. So I medicated them, only small microdosing. And a couple of days in, I was like, this is all right. And then I don't know if it was the Ibiza thing. And then I've touched base, come and gone a couple of times. It just slows you down, full process more. You can take more in. Just slows that. It just slows you down, and you can relax properly. I can't really relax, watch TV now anyway. I always struggled going to sleep, but it just. I can also then meet at my artwork. I've done a lot for my artwork, because I would do things that I try things that I wouldn't try normally, and and the colours become so much more. And there's a fine line in between microdosing and doing a bit more than what you shouldn't do. But
I can resonate, mate. So I've tried mushrooms a couple of times, but the last time that I can't. It weren't. I'm very fucking cautious, mate. And so the second time I did mushroom, first time it was really microdose. Second time I did a bit more, which I think total was, I don't know, maybe 1.5 grams or something. Nothing heavy, you know what I mean?
But still enough.
Yeah, enough to make a difference. So, again, perfectly cognitive. Like I wasn't out of it, nothing. But the analogy that I spoke about, because I'm a big overthinker. I tend to think about 10 things at once. And the analogy that I said this to my missus, who went for a walk, walk in nature and all that shit. Went for a walk, and she was like, "How are you feeling?" I went, "You know what? I feel like normally my brain is made up of like 30 cogs, and they're all turning. And some go that way, some go that way, some go backwards. But eventually it all turns. Like it's working, but there's like 30 cogs working. And on mushrooms, I feel like there's just one cog slowly going round, working, but it took away all the noise, And like you said, the focus. And I just peaceful. That was how I felt. Just peaceful, chilled, one cog. I could think about one thing at a time. Great.
I will tell you a little story, mate. Anyway, so my they got a local golf society, though. When I was a kid, I never used to play a lot of golf, but I used to have golf lessons. So wherever he was going, with my mum, my dad, my mum would always put me in for a golf lesson. Never played a lot of rounds, but I used to have golf lessons. So anyway, with my local boozer pub, they'd say they'd have a society do, and I got offered 4 or 5 times, but I'd never get out because I'd have a hangover. So the last time, last year, the year before, I was at the pub and I said, "Don't forget, we got golf in the morning. If you don't come, we're never inviting you again." So at 7 o'clock in the morning, the phone's ringing. You're going to miss it. So I've got up and I've run, got to the coach, got on the coach. I'm on the coach. And they said, "Have a couple of them. They'll make you feel better." So they was little capsules.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dried mushrooms. So I thought, what are they? Magic mushrooms. I thought, no, I've never had them before this point, right?
Yeah.
No. So I'm thinking, like, it's going to make me go, I didn't know how to make me
loopy, yeah.
I ain't played for 4 years. I won they did play me for the 20 handicap. I won the society do. I won the whole day. Golf was easy.
Yeah.
I was just happy. I was looking at it was just an easy game. I've never played like that since. I didn't play like that before. But then that day, it just become enjoyable, easy. I normally get stressed out because I weren't, you know what I mean? But it was just, I was going in somewhere. If I was in the rough, I knew exactly what clubs to pull out. I knew exactly where I was going to put it, and it was going. It was working. And I won the society day. I won a pair of boots and a bottle of drink and all
key
sorts.
to success, Lou.
It was the key.
Just to caveat this, I'm not advocating that everyone go out and get on mushrooms, but like if you're thinking about it, do your research. What I did, exactly, do your research, get your doses, make sure it's safe, blah blah blah. So, or just don't do it. That's about that. Just don't do it. But this is all for theory. Yeah. We're just talking about theory.
You asked me the question. I told you.
No, mate. Again, mate. Genuinely interested. Yeah. Genuinely interested. I mean, I did it. I think, to be honest, mate, I think that was maybe a COVID thing as well. And it's not. I think with mushrooms, I mean, I'm talking like it was this amazing experience, which kind of was, but I didn't feel the need to do it again.
No,
I didn't. Right. I didn't feel like fucking right every day now.
No,
and I haven't touched 3 years, 4 years, something like that. I haven't had the consideration to go. I would, if I'm honest, I would do it again. Yeah, but I just.
Mine was about 3 or 4 months ago.
But I haven't sorted out.
It sort of sorts you for a little while. Not sorts you for a little while, but it allows you to. It does something to your process.
Yeah, it does.
It slows you down.
Do your research. There's a lot of peer-reviewed research on psilocybin's therapeutic benefits. So there we go.
And there's lots of what's coming out now. Like I've never tried on this, but it's like lion's mane that you can have in the gum.
Yeah.
That is really natural and it is legal.
And the non-psychotropic mushrooms.
But they're meant to be very beneficial too.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
From other people.
There's a load, mate. My lad, I mean, he's 17, but he's like mad into the gym and he got all these supplements, mate. And was it like ashwagandha?
Yeah,
was another one that he was banging on about the other day. But yeah, there's a lot of research into it. And there's got to be something behind it, isn't there?
Yeah, there's got to be something behind it.
But
not enough tax for the government, is there? So
mate, that's we could do a whole podcast on that, Lou. I'm on the same page, mate. I'm on the same page as that one. It goes back years. I think it was one of the American presidents, wasn't it? Was it Reagan or something? The war on drugs. Okay. And that was the whole Class A classification of mushroom situation. But it come over from over there anyway. History lesson, innit? What I do, mate, is just go back onto you because I feel like we've gone from obviously your point of crisis to the sobriety. What was the link in between the two? So obviously you had that time where you got to the point where your missus took you over to your nan's. Yeah. Was it from there that you went, I'm going sober?
No, it wasn't. No. So I went right up to, I set a date. I set the end of November 2022. I said to my whole family and everybody, on the 1st of January, I couldn't just do it like that. I tried doing it like that. It didn't work. What I had to do is, I had to put a schedule in my head and I had to set a GoFundMe up, something that my mum works with Dementia UK. She's a manager of a dementia ward.
Okay.
She runs the department and she loves it. She's so passionate about it. And we've lost my wife's nan to dementia. There's been other dementia in our family. It's a cruel, horrible disease that has no prisoners. And I'm fond of the organisation. So it had to mean something to me. That myself weren't enough. So I had to put something in place so I didn't fail. And it was Dementia UK that I picked. So I picked a day. I picked an organisation that I was going to try and raise a few quid for. And And then I set the date. I told everyone, so I put it out there. So there was no going back. Everyone went, yeah, we'll see. And it was all those we'll sees, and you won't do it. That made me, they're laughing at me. That made me stronger. I think, well, I am going to do this. And then I had all of November, most of November, December, and it comes to New Year's Eve. We was around a friend of ours' house. It was all in the house, had all drinks lined up, shots, smashing them down. That's it, Lou, for another year. That's it now for another year. I put them down. I said, and I knew that 1 second past 12, that was it. We went to the next day. I remember having a hangover. We went out for a New Year's. We went to Brighton, me, the missus, the kids, and was walking around Brighton. I'm thinking, what have I done? No, I fancied a drink. I needed air of the dog.
Yeah.
And I thought, what have I done? And then I just, it went to a week. I just look for Friday. So I went, look for Friday, look for Sunday, look for the following Friday. So it started like that. And over that first initial, we needed the hair of the dog thing. Next couple of days was all right. And then the week was all right. And then 3 or 4 weeks down the line, I started to like it. But before that, it was the lead up for me. It was the putting that date in place, and I'd already had them, but nothing was going to stop me because I'd had all that. I'd had my mate been lost. I'd had all that. Do you know what I mean? And I think it all triggered off really. My granddad passed away back in 2010, and my granddad was like a third. I've got three. I've been blessed to have all my family, right? 2 different worlds apart from each other. So my nan and granddad from my mum's side are totally different people from my dad's side, but we're one loving family unit. So I lost my granddad back in 2010. My dad was away when I was a kid a lot. We moved around a lot. I went to a lot of schools. There was a lot of unsettlement. And then my granddad was always, my both grandparents was always home. Do you know what I mean? We'd be away, we'd do what we do, but they was always home. So we felt safe there. And we were settled there because they hadn't moved houses. We had our own bedrooms. It was normal. And then he passed away in 2010. And I was left as my mum's side as the head of the family sort of thing. And my mum and nan are strong women anyway, but we'd lost we lost the king. Do you know what I mean? So I tried to put a brave face on for a long time. In that time, I lost. It's another story, but years ago, I had a bit of land, sold it, went into a sports club, lost my money, right? Lost everything. My granddad passed away. Was put then into my own house, nice car, had it all taken away. Didn't go bankrupt, but lost it all. Topped up, where do I go from here? So where my granddad told me to buy many years before, in Eastbourne, granddad, I'm never going down there, it's God's waiting room, you're mad. He passed away in 2010, sold a place that he tried to sell me for pennies.
Yeah.
He passed away. I've gone spent skin, was down the council, was in temporary accommodation in middle of nowhere, little prefab unit, 2 young children now. Well, 3 children, but my eldest son was from my first and he was with his mum. So I had 2 young children with my wife now. And one day I thought, I need to start again, I need to get away from here. And then we went down to Eastbourne and then we started again. We rented and I started my business. But it was from then that mental health really upped its game. Was from them, but we hid it for a long time. We delved in. We had times like it. It weren't enough to worry about.
Yeah.
We had good days, we had bad days, but I'd always had them anyway.
Yeah.
And then it became more and more, and then your mojo goes. Then my mojo went. I lost me. Stopped looking after myself. I blew up to nearly 100 kilos. I was a lot of weight. Didn't care about how I sort of was looking. And my mum would be the first saying, "Are you all right? Look at the state of you." But it become.
Mate, these are all the faces of mental health, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, and I look back at my own life, because we're not that far apart age-wise, and I look back at certain times of my life now that when I was in it, it just felt like I was dealing with something, whether, you know, whatever that might be at the time, whatever stress or trigger or anxiety it was that was going on, whether that was acting out through drinking too much or being aggressive or being violent, whatever that might be. At the time, I didn't see it as mental health. Now I do. Like now I look back and I think, yeah, that's because I was struggling with that or I was struggling with that. And there's all these ways that it manifests itself in people. Men and women are different, you know? Like women will get upset about something, they'll get together, they'll cry, they'll get it out, and then they can move on.
That's it.
Men tend to bottle it, and then it comes out different ways. It will come out in, like I say, in what they'd class now as toxic behaviour. It will come out in excessive drinking, staying out, fighting. You know, these are all the ways that blokes used to or tend to express their, like, you know, that's when things are on top. You know, I heard a saying once, and it basically said when you see that bloke on a Friday night or a Saturday night, whenever it might be, and they're pissed up and they're in the street and they're screaming and shouting and they want to fight everyone, and people are looking, oh, they're off their head. Like, that's the male equivalent of a woman crying, like sitting there crying and, you know, but they'll then say, oh, this is bothering me, that's bothering me, and it will come out. The bloke who stood there trying to fight the world,
I've never thought about that before. But
that's, it's them, it's their scream for help.
Mm.
That's their, like, fucking, I can't cope with this, and I'm just trying to do something to stop whatever pain it is that they're going through, to stop it. You know what I mean? And when I heard that, and I look back and I think, fucking hell, yeah. Like, because, I mean, you probably know, mate, I've had mates that have gone through hard times, and then you go out on a night out and it's like, fuck yeah, keep an eye on them, mate, they're a liability.
Yeah.
But it's not that they're a liability, it's that they've just split up with their missus.
Yeah.
So they're either going to go and get smashed, or go and try and fight the world.
Yeah.
And it's not because they want to fight.
No.
They're desperate to relieve the pain in the only way they know how as a bloke, the only way that we've been taught. And again, our generation have got something to blame there, because it was never go talk about it.
No.
You know, and like my old man, for example, I wouldn't have gone and talked to him about it. Oh, Dad, I'm upset, I'm feeling this, I'm hurt, or I'm struggling. It would have been, you know, it was the man up generation. And that was how it manifested. It will come out some way. Yeah. Those emotions come out. You can't stop it.
No.
But it will come out in all the wrong ways, unfortunately.
It does. And the more you try to hold them back, the more it will come out in another way that I find. And even like, it's silly, like it's silly thinking, but we've got a little house with a lot of love in it. It's the longest house I've ever lived in all my life. I've never felt so settled in my little house than what I do now. We're ready to move. Do you know what I mean? But I won't, because I want the kids to have that one day.
That's nice.
And I love it. I just feel, because it was, it's been, when we moved down to Eastbourne with a couple of movies around, it took a bit of time to find ourselves. And then we was there for 4 or 5 years. But where I was so used to as a child moving around, going to different schools, all over the place, it would always, I never thought of it being, back years ago, unsettled and unstable, but it did play. Now I've realised it did play a part, and it becomes to sticking with something. Like, I've tried so much. I've done every sport you can think of, and nothing actually stuck, because I'm always thinking, this is going to end. This is going to end. I'm always waiting for something else to happen. Do you know what I mean? Right? Everything's going to expire, and things do expire. Do you know what I mean? But apart from my family, which I've always had love from, and stability with them, my missus being married, we're both stable and love each other. Do you know what I mean? And I went away for a year, 37 nights last year. No issue with trust there. Do you know what I mean? Because we both know each other, we get each other, and I think I've been with her for, it was our 14th wedding anniversary last week.
Congratulations, mate.
But yeah, it shows you that it's from deep. These things come from deep, and I notice people, mental health can affect anyone, anything. But what I find, I don't know about you, you know much more than I do about it, but I think people get a lot of problems come from breakups from when they're young, unsettlement, no father, no mum around, poverty line. Even these are all factors that back in them days, but you bring them into your adulthood, and you're already moulded.
It's the mixing bowl, mate, isn't it? That's the way I think of it. So childhood trauma plays a massive part in our adult development. Um, I like to think of it, as I say, like a mixing bowl. So when you're a kid, that's where they put all the ingredients in to make the cake
Yeah.
that becomes you as an adult. Now, like me, I went through, I had my share of childhood traumas, various things, abandonments, and all sorts of bits and pieces that made up kind of like the adult that came forth. The big turning point for me with my own awareness, I guess, was first of all becoming aware that mental health existed. Do you know what I mean? That was like a massive turning point. But then being able to like study psychology and go back and start to look at my ingredients. So, like, okay. So although I thought at the time I was fine, but say, for example, my parents split up when I was 8 and my mum left the house. So although when I was a kid I thought that was fine, when I look back as an adult and I go, well, actually, hold on, there's a massive trauma there. I went from normal life as I thought it was to complete disruption. And then a little bit similar to you, mate. I think between the age of 8 and 17, I moved house about 9 times.
Okay.
But my mum left, and then I stayed with my dad. I was raised by my dad, but then there was a lot of traumas in amongst all that. But now, with the knowledge that I've got, I can look back at some of my adult behaviour and link it back and go, okay, that's why I've got that insecurity because of that happened as a kid.
Yeah.
And it fascinates me. And a lot of people are listening, go, oh, it's a load of bollocks, blah, blah, blah. It's a show, it's fucking not. Once you start, unfortunately, as humans, we're another variety of animal. You can predict a lot of behaviour based on the ingredients as a child. And I think it would really benefit everybody to just be a bit reflective, look at certain, if a behaviour, because there's positive character traits that come out of these things, resilience, determination, stuff like that can be built.
Yeah.
And so I'm not, and I put it on record now, I wouldn't actually change anything about my childhood because it's made me who I am.
100%.
So there's the positives, but I do think it's beneficial to anybody. If you've got a behaviour that is causing you issues in your life, just have a look back. Have a look back at why that might be. The symptom is the behaviour. I don't know, you might be a jealous person, whatever it might be. Pick a behaviour that could cause you an issue. You might be addictive, whatever it might be. That's the symptom. The cause of it is
somewhere in there.
Wait, it'll be there somewhere, and it might take a bit of unpicking. But if you look, you might find it. And then once you've got that cause, you can start to try to actually fix it long term rather than mask the symptom.
Do you know, it makes sense. It makes sense. Without thinking, I've never wanted to think too much into it because then it become real. So I always brushed it away and deal with it, get on with it, and grit your teeth, and we carry on. But you're right about picking the traits out. I mean, over the last 2 years, we went from literally just going to work, doing a floor, we've got a floor rig. Love was there, we loved it, but there wasn't the passion and the drive what we've got now. Now the world's your oyster now, where we want to go. Didn't have this drive in me 2 years ago. We've only spoke the last few weeks, but anyone who's been following me will see, it's in my following because I've been on socials, will see the things that we've done over the last 18 months, 2 years, and the whole mindset has shifted. And yeah, it's tunneled in it. Resilience, we've had knockbacks, but it's back getting up again and going again. And all right, you can have the knockbacks, but you've got to get back up. You've got to go again. You can't give up. You can't, because there's another day tomorrow. Got a brand new day, could happen. So now, since I've had a fresh head and I'm not waking up with them hangovers, I get up and think, right, what's happening today? Let's go and see what today entails. And it's a brand new day. Yeah. We can't change it. Enjoy it if best you can. Do you know what I mean? And there are things that are suffering. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I missed a lot of time with my children, the most precious time at me growing up. And what we're doing, everyone can say that's an easy thing to blame. It's for them. Because when people are away and they're away from home and they're working, it's only for them. We can say it, but it is for them. It is for them. It is for you as well, because doing something you love doing and something you believe in and you can see. But if you can make things easier for them, I will sacrifice my life for my children, like any father, like any parent would. You know what I
But
mean?
that's your purpose.
That's my purpose.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
my drive. No one's going to beat me doing it, because that's going to happen. And if you get that, I'm doing that, like I've done with the drinking, I'm doing that, no one's stopping me, then you can do that. But some people don't drink, some people, and they've still got deep thoughts like that every day, which must become tiring, because when you drink, you forget about it and it goes away until that morning, until you sober up. Then it kicks you double hard. But people have got that constantly, like a broken arm, every day, all day, every day. It's just gonna wear you down. And mine just elevates with certain things I do. So we can have a drink now. It's just got to be controlled. Don't have 300.
One of the things that you said that I picked up on that I think probably sums it up a lot was where you said that you took that year and you found yourself.
Yeah.
And I think it's so powerful, like, because once you find yourself and you truly know who you are, when you have them knockbacks in life or something goes a bit wrong, it don't burrow into you, because you know who you are. And just because there's been a mistake or a fuck up or whatever, you go, mistake or a fuck up. It doesn't change who you are.
No.
Because you know who you are. You know you've got that drive, resilience, the business, the passion, and all that. And one little dent or fault can't take that away from you. When you don't know who you are and you are lost, those dents, they can get into your head. They can worm their way in, and you start to doubt yourself, and you think, well, actually, am I that good? Am I worthy of this? Am I the business owner? Am I, where's my value? I'm not sure. And it's so fucking powerful, mate. And one of the most important things you can do is to truly find yourself and know who you are. Because once you've got that foundation, nobody can knock it down. Do you know what I mean? Nothing external can knock it down. You can change it yourself. But
to have wisdom, you've got to have heartache first. My granddad always used to say that. To have wisdom, you've got to have heartache first. And absolutely right. 100% I agree with you. And what happens is you do have that moment of, but it took me to go, because I've known myself who I was all along, but it wasn't something that I wanted to be. I thought I was, how can I say it? I thought I was actually, it was always there. I was just too shy to show myself. I'd never found something that I loved. I love working. Do you know what I mean? I've never been lazy, but nothing wrong with dustman, nothing wrong with a waiter, nothing wrong with anyone. I don't, as I say, with whatever you're doing. But for my passion, what I was doing, it wasn't enough for my head. And then all of a sudden, I realised this is who I am. This is what I'm meant to be, and I'm actually quite good at it. And I wasn't good at it. It took time. It took practice. It took falling down. It took getting back up again. But at this time, in present moment, I'm loving what I'm doing, and you got to tell yourself you're the best. I am the best at this game. There's no one beating me at this. I am the best. I'm up every morning practicing while you're sleeping. I'm the last one to go to bed because I'm practicing. Or I'm trying to better myself, because not for no one else. It's for me. I've done that today. I've done that, and that's my buzz now. I get a buzz. I get a buzz, and I'm getting the kick out of actually doing something, seeing someone else happy as I am. That's the buzz. Do you know what I mean? And when you're down and you've got no mojo about yourself because your head's down, you're not projecting. Your work can't project into it because you're not feeling it. And then all of a sudden you find yourself, I don't give a fuck what you think. I'm going to say this and I'm going to do that because that's what I think's right. And I know who I am. I know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And not always right. You've got to hold your hands up. Not right. I've made a mistake there. Be the first to admit it. But you've got to die hard. You've got to die hard. You've got to give it all you got. Do you know what? You've got to give it all you got. Yeah. And I'll say a little thing. I have these little moments, and I put a little thing on my socials now and then. And if I see a little quote that I like, I'll reshare it. But I always put the Keith Burke song on, "Rising to the Top" on it behind the thing. And I mean, I get messages, likes over it, because when you get those bits, people are obviously feeling something to what you're doing, and that ain't just for the resin people follow you for. It's for your dedication and your passion of what you're doing, and the positiveness. I want to try and be positive. And they're not always positive. We all get down days. You know what I mean? We're only human. But if you can just see it in someone. If they're not feeling great, do you know what I mean? Pick them up a little bit. Be nice. It ain't hard to be nice, is it? It don't cost nothing. It just, one little thing can change someone's day. Hello, good morning. Yeah. It can just change someone's
There's
whole
inspiration
day.
in that, mate. I mean, just listening to you, it's inspiring. The mindset is inspiring. It puts it like, literally, I'm listening to you, it puts a smile on my face. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm like, fucking yeah. You know what I mean? You've inspired me to do two things. One, I want to work harder. Two, I want to go to Ibiza. So,
Come, let's go.
let's go. But yeah, mate, honestly, it's inspiring listening. And if you've got the right mindset, because again, there's people with the jealousy, the victim sort of the victims of life that resent you for what you've got rather than worry about what they're getting. I love to see people doing well. I do, and I love to see businesses such as yours and see it, and I'm like, fucking hell, man, that's smashing it. I love that. You know, to me, it inspires hope. Do you know what I mean? Because I look at that and I don't put any limits on myself. So I look at it and I think, fucking hell, that's brilliant, man. He's done that. That means there's hope for the rest of us.
100%.
Like, you've done that. I could do that. He could do that. She could do that. Like, there's no limit. Especially you run your own business. There's no limit. There's that degree of freedom. I mean, in two ways. Like, one, you're less free than anyone because you get chained to your business. But two, you've got no borders, no parameters, no limits. You can build whatever you want to build. You can take it to whatever level you want to take it. You know.
And you're right. And I haven't seen this. I mean, I've tried 100 things before. It's the longest thing I've ever done in my life. And it's the only thing I've ever loved doing what I'm doing. But we could have quite easily just tapped it on. Just done installs, going around, doing floors, but it'd been nice. But then we go back again. And then some people might have thought of it as a opportunity to take the game over. And with the training, people say, why are you training all these people? Why are you doing it? Because one, it ain't for the money. You don't get no money training people. It's not the training that you get the money for. You've got materials, you've got overheads to pay for. It's what you get the kick out is someone coming to your course. They're there because they want to learn something new, because what they're doing isn't fulfilling them. Art does it for me. There's no wrong or no right with art. The art is the eye of the beholder.
Yeah.
Because you don't like it, because I don't know. Don't mean she don't like it. And it's the art of the beholder. So whatever you're feeling, whatever you express, it comes out in that. So no one can tell you that's wrong, that's horrible. You say it's horrible, that's your opinion. If the quality is good, and people was getting this wrong. People be so arty, so crafty, so arty and crafty, and such good creative and imagination, is when they come and done the floor, they're great artwork, but they didn't know about the system behind it. They didn't know about the preparation, about the base coating, about the concrete, about the sub, about the movement, about the flexibilities. They didn't know about compressive strengths and all that. So when I started learning, and I was teaching people for other companies, it wasn't the right way. I'm from a building background. I'm from construction, so I know what's good prep, what's bad prep. I know what the right things to do and not the right things to do. I know if you're cutting corners here, and the people who are leading these courses in the world that I was in was just arty, crafty people. Didn't have the true knowledge of floor layers, construction workers, preppers. Because anyone, if you're a floor layer, Antico, Carndine, LVT, wood, you're a tradesman, Tyler. You know about you're a good one. You know about preparations, correct subs, what to use, the importance of it. So people was coming in who were great artists, but it was failing because of the prep work and the sub work. So then I started picking up my own, and then it allowed me to release, and it allowed me to do it for me. And then, all right, so the courses weren't paying, right? So then we thought, then the products we was getting from all around the place wasn't the correct. So coming from abroad, different climates, weren't the right chemistries for European standards. So I've picked up on it. The more you do things, the more you learn the ins and outs, the little creaks, the crannies. So then we had a knockback last year from another company, and it was a big old knockback. It was a learning curve. So it prompted us then to formulate our own resin, or tweak our own resin to our own how we liked it. And it took a long time to do that. And I'll be honest with you, we're putting everything that we've got at the minute. So everything that we've got, we're all in. I'm all in. It's another risky move that we're doing. All right, could have crept along. Just done installs.
Yeah.
The training come. We want the industry to grow. And the way you're going to do it is with good training, with proper products. So then we set the workshop up, got a few spots across Europe where to train, different pop-up workshops. Now we've got products coming, but it's scary times. Do you know what I mean? It's like we're all in again. Here we go again.
That's where the
we
growth is, mate.
We might be back down the council.
Yeah.
But if it is, it is. As long as I know I've tried my best and I've done all I can do to my power, and I've told people the right way, then that's all I can do.
Growth is uncomfortable, mate, isn't it? That's where the progression is.
But we've had so many ups and downs. It's like, really, but my people, my family, they believe in this. They can see it. Do you know what I mean? They can see it, and I believe in it. I won't let go. I'm all in. And if I can just help people along the way, I've done my job. And for a lot of people that are there, come on these courses. All right, we get the tradesmen who come in who are interested. Might be a carpenter, might be a floor layer already, and they want to up their levels and up their skills. Their back's getting tired, the knees are getting tired. Someone's like a bit more easier on the joints. Then that's great. But out of 10 people, there's always 3 or 4 people there that haven't got. They've seen the course, they've seen the colours, they think they're a bit arty crafty. They're not financially secure because they're looking for something else anyway. So they don't want it to cost them no money. I don't want to set people up. Then you're in a bad place now. What I don't want to do is set you up, tell you a load of, and then send you out to foul. No, I will not feel good with that. I will not sleep good with that. That is when I won't enjoy it. What I'll enjoy is, like I got yesterday, an Instagram story. Thanks, Gafflow. Let's look at this floor we smashed out. Another happy customer. That's where I get my kick. Do you know what I mean? You've gone up there. You've done your job. I've showed you how to do it. You've done it right. And the customer's over the moon. You can have a few. I tell them you can have a few fouls. There could be a few times you're going to come across something. Pick up the phone. If you're not sure, don't go for it. Ring me up. Ring one of the team up. If we don't know, we're all still learning ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So things you don't come across, but it becomes a black and white book. Things you do, you don't do. But it is good for. I'm trying out. What I'd like to do is now. I don't want to let my secrets out now, but I want to get all these community centres, all these kids going off the rails at the minute, between 13 to 17 is crucial times for these young boys.
Yeah, man.
And girls at the minute. We've got all these we've got all these centres at the minute, all up and down the country, doing nothing with dog meetings and knitting classes. Do you know what I mean? If we can get them into a little workshop where we have a little few hours a week, and then we can show them how to create, how to do these finishes, because they will get it. They will get that. If they are arty crafty anyway, if you're different anyway, you'll do something different, it's good for them. And it will be good for them to learn this, because it's positive. You can take it anywhere. It's another little trade that's just come along that we haven't discovered yet. In 5 or 6 years' time, we're all going to hear about it. Everyone in the industry is going to hear about it. It'll be a lot more trusting. But at the minute, a lot of guinea pigging out there. But if we can get a few kids get them off them bloody corners out in parks and try and get them into a couple of hours of doing that, to take them somewhere, there's possibilities there for a new industry there with these youngsters coming up. Do you know what I mean? Because we're the first in it on this side. There's going to be more after us, and the game's going to grow. So, yeah.
It's interesting, mate. I'll be watching then. I'll be watching because I think, obviously, you're a man that moves. So I'll be interested to watch the moves now, Lou. See where you guys go.
Let's play games.
Yeah, man. It's interesting. Mate, I've really enjoyed this conversation. I really have. Really appreciate you opening up. I've learned a lot. Fucking brilliant, mate. Spot on.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, I've really enjoyed it, mate. Before we do wrap things up, is there anything that you haven't touched on that you wanted to get out or get across?
What I would like to say is, with the darkest day will become a brighter morning. Darkest night become a brighter morning. And I say, you have your down days, you have your good days, but what you've got to do is pull them trousers, pull them socks up and keep going. You've got to, because how bad you feel now, tomorrow's a different day. The weather changes, everything changes, and do this, speak. Do you know what I mean? Be a little bit more open. And it's easy for me to say that now, and I didn't say that back then. It would have been the last thing I would have done to speak to someone.
Yeah.
But being there, seeing that we're still dealing with it, it will come back. But it's little by little. I'm peeling them layers and then readdressing them, and then help your next man.
Well said, mate.
That's it. That's what I just said. Just
Mate, from the heart, man. Well said. Appreciate it. Just again, where can people find you?
They can find me Instagram, social media a lot.
And that's Gafflow Resin Finishes.
Gafflow Resin Finishes, or the website www.gafflowresinfinishes.com. Or if you need to speak to me, if you fancy having a chat, my telephone number 07473 791 739. Open all hours.
Hope you don't regret that one, mate.
Listen, 3 o'clock in the morning, if someone's feeling bad and need to have a chat with someone who's been there, call my phone. I know you do that, you all day, every day, but
appreciate you, man.
Someone little like me.
Yeah.
I don't.
Mate, it's a big thing.
I haven't got the knowledge that anyone else has got.
You don't need it.
I can feel it. You know what I mean?
Listen, what I'd say, Lou, anyone can listen, mate. Anyone can listen. And like me, volunteer at Samaritans, but what makes you a Samaritan is just listening. That's it. Like, yes, I've done the training and it taught me to listen. That is it. Anyone can be a Samaritan. You just got to listen.
You've got the tools though now. Do you know what I mean? Yeah.
And it took some education, but anyone to take that time, for that person you spoke to that we discussed earlier, on that occasion, at that time, you were the Samaritan. The definition of the word Samaritan is a good Samaritan. It's just somebody that helps others. That's it. There's no more than that.
It's great.
And anyone can do that. Anyone out there listening can do that for somebody else. So again, man, really appreciate it.
Smashing it. Keep doing what you're doing.
Thanks, man.
It's a great thing you've got.
Fully intend to, mate. This is just the beginning. We were talking pre-record. In fact, it'll be the first time I mentioned this on an episode. I think I've maybe got putting pressure on myself to get the refurb done, but I've maybe got another 4 episodes to record in here, and then we're on the move.
Lovely.
So much bigger space, much bigger things to come. Lots around the corner, man. All I'm trying to do, the mission of the podcast is to raise mental health awareness in construction and beyond. That is it. That's all I'm trying to do. Just get people talking.
You're doing your job.
Exactly that. Just having conversations, mate. That's all I'm doing.
If I can always help you, I'm always here.
Appreciate it, mate. Honestly, appreciate your time. Again, just before we do wrap up, thank you to everyone for listening, for one, and massive thank you to our brand guest merchandise sponsors, the Funky Peach, who are the ones that are donating all the guest merch, which I'm about to hand over to Lou. So much appreciated. Thanks to everyone for listening. I'll catch you again on the next one.
Thank you. God bless. Keep your eyes peeled. Big drops incoming. That's my
appreciate you, Lou.
Cheers.